Hi, friends, it's Will, and I'm back with another tarot reading. Today, we're going to ask the question, can you trust them? There's someone in your life, a friend, a partner, a coworker, a family member, someone you're in a relationship with or want to be in a relationship with, could be any of those, and you're wondering if you can trust that person. I've chosen 3 decks. I've pulled the court cards from each of these decks, and we're going to shuffle and remove one from each pile, and that will be the significator for the reading. So let me get some smoke on these cards and tell you about the decks that I have chosen. First of all, number 1, we have got Tarocchi by Mr. Friborg, and I've paired that with Flower Agate. Number 2, in the middle, we've got Tarot Nuage, and I've paired that with Orca Agate. And on the right, I've got Terra Volatile, and I've paired that with Selenite. All right, let's get some smoke going here. And once I've got smoke on the cards, I will draw 1 court card from each pile. And I'll ask you to think about the person that you have in mind and see which of these most closely matches that person, okay? So with Tarocchi by Mr. Friborg, let's see what we get. Tarocchi by Mr. Friborg gives us Knight of Swords. Do you think that your person is like a Knight of Swords? Are they the kind of person who likes to take action, who has something they really strongly believe in, who's maybe intellectual, who's good at communicating, or at least aspires to be good at communicating, but can also get themselves into some trouble sometimes with the things that they say? Maybe they're too quick to voice their opinion in situations where it would be better off just to hold back and keep quiet sometimes. That might describe the Knight of Swords. In the middle here with Tarot Nuage, paired with the Orca Agate, we have got another court card. Let's see what it is. Just give these a little more shuffle. The Queen of Coins. The Queen of Coins. So this could be a person, again, of any gender, someone who's good at taking care of themselves and of other people, right? Like nurturing others, taking care of others' material needs. This could be a mother figure or like a parent figure, a caregiver of some kind. This could be someone who's very grounded and down to earth, and someone who knows very well what it is they value, what matters to them, right? They've sort of curated their values and they've figured out this matters to me, this doesn't matter to me. With Terra Volatile paired with the Selenite, we are going to take our third, oh, there it is, it fell right out. And it's another knight. We've got the Knight of Wands this time, right? The Knight of Wands from Terra Volatile. So this person is similar to the first option, the Knight of Swords, but there are a couple of important differences. They're both knights, they're both action takers. They're making progress, they're doing stuff. They're out in the world doing stuff, right? They're active. But the Knight of Wands is more fiery, right? They like to have a good time. They're probably more social than the Knight of Swords is. They might be pursuing a career. They might be more athletic. They might like regularly exercise more. I think of wands, I think of muscles, as opposed to swords, I think of the mind, more intellectual, more bookish, right? What else? Both of them can be a little bit too quick to rush into situations, like almost maybe we might say a little bit reckless at times. But they do it for different reasons, right? The Knight of Swords does it because they have a strong belief about it being true and right and good and just, right? The Knight of Wands does it because they're impulsive and it's fun, right? So if that helps you to distinguish a little bit between these possible choices. Okay, so think about your person. Think about this person who you're wondering the extent to which you can trust them. If you think it mostly matches the Knight of Swords with the flower agate, please choose number 1. Timestamps are below. For number 2, Queen of Coins with the orca agate. And number 3, Knight of Wands with the selenite. And we will answer the question, to what extent can you trust this person? I'll see you in your reading. Hello, Group 1, and welcome to your reading. You chose the Knight of Swords paired with the flower agate. Let me set the crystal aside. I've got the whole deck here, Mr. Friborg's Tarocchi deck. I've shuffled it. I've got all the court cards in here too, in case we need other court cards to come up. Let me shuffle it just a little bit more. And we'll start with 3 cards to answer the question, can you trust this person who's represented by the Knight of Swords? Can you trust this person? It's an interesting question with this significator because, on the one hand, the Knight of Swords thinks the truth is very important, right? They believe in truth, generally speaking, when they're their best self. They value it anyways, like they think that it's important, the truth, and clarity of communication. So like this is someone who, if they are withholding something, they know that they're doing it, and they probably feel some guilt about it, which doesn't mean that they're not doing it anyways, but they're aware of it, right? It probably wasn't just an accident, I would say, with this person. This person is too smart to make that kind of mistake. On the other hand, the Knight of Swords wields a sword, and the sword of all the suits of tarot is the one that can hurt us the most, right? Think about what swords do. They cut. We use them to attack or defend. It's a weapon, right? And metaphorically, it represents the mind and communication, because swords can sing when we use them in the right way, right? Okay, so let's see. 3 cards. Can you trust this person? We're hoping, I think, for lots of coins and cups. that would mean yes. And if we get more batons or wands and swords, that's probably a no, right? Can you trust this person who is represented in this reading by the Knight of Swords? Well, we start with a baton. And so I think of beginnings, potential, energy, action, active sexuality. Okay, we've got a court card, and it's a page of coins. This is a young or immature person, or inexperienced person if they're not actually young, who's like trying to figure out what's important to them, what they value, maybe starting a new job, trying out a new behavior. And the sun, friendship, happiness, warmth, joy. Okay, so there's not a lot of reason to worry. This Knight of Swords in your life is not sending up any huge red flags, right? We don't have the devil that would represent lies or manipulation. We don't have 10 of Swords that might be stabbing you in the back. We've got an Ace of Wands. So with the Ace of Wands, I might say there is a little bit there of maybe the tiniest inkling that this person could take an action that might be untrustworthy, but with the other cards in the spread, I am inclined to trust this person, right? They with the Page of Coins showing up in the middle, it does make me think, even if this person is a Knight of Swords, that there is some aspect of their life that they are still trying to figure out, right? That they're at the very beginning stages of, right? So, like, this might be someone who is very intellectual, intelligent, maybe studies, maybe reads, is smart, or if they're not reading, like they're, I don't know, maybe they're watching YouTube videos and learning history or something like that, right? And so they're really good at that. But maybe in their material life, they maybe they like haven't advanced very far in their job yet, or they're still a student, or they're the kind of person who like hasn't figured out how to do all the chores around the house yet. And so they're kind of inexperienced or childish with pages in that aspect of their life. They've got their intellectual stuff going, they've made good progress there, but their material life is a little less established, shall we say, right? Um, but that doesn't make them untrustworthy, right? It does mean maybe they would be more likely to make a mistake or mess up something to do with money, but that I think would be an honest mistake, right? So, like, is this person going to lie to you? I don't think so. I don't think that this person is going to deliberately and knowingly tell you a lie. But is this person going to forget to pay a bill? Sure, absolutely. That could happen with a Page of Coins. Is this person going to not do the thing, like the chore that they told you that they were going to do? Yep, this person could totally not do that. But it's not because they're untrustworthy. I mean, not in the sense, it's less like they're not totally dependable in a material sense, but it's not like they're actively attempting to hurt you or lie to you, right? So that's good news, I think, here. This person would likely make a really good friend, right? They like to have a good time. They want to be happy. They want to see other people around them be happy. They've got energy, right? The one can also stand for active sexuality, as I mentioned before. So if it's that kind of relationship, that would be something to consider. But the Ace of Wands here can also just mean vitality, energy, taking action, going out, doing stuff, trying stuff that's new, having fun, like going out to sort of take the day by storm and paint the town red, we could say. All of that I would think of with this person. So I don't think let's pull some more cards to be really sure. But as of now, I'm going to say, by and large, in general, yeah, I think that you can trust this person. So let's pull three more. And our next question, since this person seems to be mostly trustworthy, let's ask if there were something about this Knight of Swords that were not trustworthy. What might that be? Like, I'm sort of asking the same question again, but putting a little more pressure on it and just saying, like, if there were to be some untrustworthiness, what would that look like? Right? King of Cups, so maybe holding back feelings or giving bad advice. Again, I don't think it's lying. The King of Cups would be the sort of person who would say, you need to do this thing because it's for your own good, even though you don't want to do it. But the King of Cups could also be the kind of person who just is giving advice and they're trying to give you the right advice, but they misread it and it comes out the wrong way, or there was a miscommunication or something. Interesting. Another king. King of Spades. Well, the King of Spades can be a know-it-all. They're an authority. It's interesting that we're seeing kings come up. Let's just look at the third one. What is it? It's another knight. Oh, 3 court cards in a row. Lots of court cards here. 4 of the 6 we've pulled randomly are all court cards, plus, of course, the Knight of Spades that you chose. So when could this person be untrustworthy? When they act like a king, on the one hand. So this person is represented, we decided, by the Knight of Swords. So this is someone who is making progress towards a goal in life, right? Like they're still working on it. If they start to act like a king, if they start to think that they have achieved everything, if they start to believe that they know everything and everybody should defer to them, as opposed to believing, like the knight, that they are on a path towards learning, towards achieving, towards improving. As long as they stay on that path, they're okay. It's when they reach the point where they say, I know better, then this person might become untrustworthy, right? If they lose a sense of humility, humbleness, then they would potentially become untrustworthy. The other place, again, where we are seeing a potential for untrustworthiness, we've got coins coming up. Here it's the Knight of Coins. We saw the page before. And so again, it's like in practical matters, money matters, resources, time, saying you'll do something and following through and actually doing it. That's where this person may not be totally, I wouldn't say trustworthy, but like dependable, right? Again, it wouldn't be that they're deliberately trying to hurt you, but they might forget to do something, or the Knight of Coins can also be lazy sometimes. But, laziness is different than untrustworthiness. So that would be something to consider there. All right, shall we pull 3 more? And for this one, let's ask, assuming like this person seems to be mostly trustworthy, maybe not totally dependable, but very trustworthy. So how could your connection with this person develop? Like where could your connection, relationship, friendship, whatever you want to call it, with this person develop, assuming you decide to trust them, right? Assuming that they are actually as trustworthy as they seem to be. So here, expansion of resources, of well-being, expanding your well-being. We love to see that. 2 of Wands, making plans for the future, maybe travel plans with the globe there. Maybe you travel somewhere with this person, or you make you're preparing something, making choices that prepare you to build something, do something with this person. And 8 Cups. So this can be emotional movement. 8 Cups can be about leaving one situation to search for another situation that is more fulfilling. 8 of Cups can also be organizing your emotions, right? See how these are sort of organized or stacked together in a very particular way, pairing up certain kinds of cups that are the same height and balancing them and all of that. So trusting this person and deepening your relationship with them can expand your well-being, allow you to plan things, actual actions for the future with this person. I think of these 2 wands as like the 2 of you standing up together, and you've got the world between you. That's really beautiful. And then organizing your feelings, advancing your feelings, the depth of your emotions, the maturity of your emotions could move forward, right? With the 8 of Cups there. So, not a lot of bad stuff here. I was sort of waiting and we'll see what happens in the next two readings. But I was waiting for, really scary cards to come up, and they aren't here. And so if you're here because you associated your person with Knight of Swords, I think things are going to be okay. Like I would err on the side of trusting this person. Obviously, use your own judgment, and things can change over time. But this little snapshot that we see here now suggests that this person is mostly trustworthy in the sense they don't have ill will towards you, even though the one warning, if I was going to give a warning, it would be they may not be totally reliable or dependable, right? Not as steadfast and steady as one might hope. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end the reading there because we don't have any big red flags that we need to investigate further. Let me know in the comments what resonated with you, what stood out, and consider liking and subscribing if you got something out of this video. It would really help me to grow this channel. Thanks so much. I'll see you in your next reading. Hello, Group 2, and welcome to your reading. You chose the Queen of Coins as the significator for your person, paired with this beautiful orca agate. I will set the crystal aside, and I'll just prop that Queen of Coins right up here so that she can look down over the reading. I've got the full Tarot Nuages deck here, and I've shuffled all of those court cards back into the deck. So except for the Queen of Coins that we've pulled out, we've got the full deck here. I am going to shuffle these a bit, and we're going to answer the question, can you trust this person who's represented by the Queen of Coins? And this could be someone who's a friend, a relative, someone you're in a relationship with or would like to be in a relationship with. Any number of possibilities are open here. And let me describe the Queen of Coins just a little bit while I shuffle. This is someone who is dependable, secure, tends to trust authority. Not all authority, but like there's someone or some institution that they think mostly has got things figured out, right? They're not naive, they're not blindly trusting authority, but like they need or they crave, they desire something other than just their own self to provide stability in the world, right? There's someone who can be kind of conservative at times, not necessarily in their politics, although that's possible too. There's someone who's realistic, practical, pragmatic, knows how to take care of themselves, knows how to take care of others, pays their bills on time generally, although they can also be someone who is maybe a little materialistic. And so the sort of shadow side to the Queen of Coins would be someone who, because of their focus on the material world, has lost their stability and security, and that would really, really bother them, right? Like they wanted some objects, to shop for something, and they bought too much, and they got into debt because it made them feel good, and now they realize they've lost their security, and they're probably feeling a lot of shame about that. But that's just a possibility. I'm not saying that that's definitely happening in everybody's case here. I'm just saying that is something that can happen with a Queen of Coins type of person. Okay, first question, can you trust them? That's what we're starting with. Can you trust this person? If we see lots of swords and wands, the answer is probably leaning towards no. If we see lots of cups and coins, it's probably leaning towards yes. There are other cards here too where we would want to watch out. So 10 of Swords makes me think of someone who is maybe not totally trustworthy, because this card can signify being stabbed in the back, right? We've got this gargoyle here who I think is sitting on a chimney top way up in the clouds, and they have been stabbed 10 times in the back. So maybe this person is not totally trustworthy. What's next? 4 wands. This can be a celebration. This can be stability. This can be building something, right? Like the 4 wands make a square. So building like a house. They're wands, so they're like logs or sticks. You can make stuff with them. And Queen of Swords. Okay. So can you trust this person? Not completely. Let me tell you why. She looks like a Queen of Coins. You chose Queen of Coins to represent her, but turns out she's Queen of Swords, right? Or at least one aspect of her or his, right? I said she because it's a queen, but it could be a person of any gender who uses any pronouns. This person's personality is not just coins, it's swords, right? Somewhere, some aspect, some facet, some angle on their personality is swords like, not just coins like. So the Queen of Swords is someone who is very good at making judgments, but can take things too far, right? She doesn't always recognize that her judgments can hurt other people, or in a worst case scenario, she does recognize it and doesn't care. This is someone who, at their worst, I'm not saying this is your person, but like the Queen of Swords at their worst can be very cold and cruel, right? They can make observations, about people that don't need to be said out loud, right? Like not everything needs to be said out loud. The Queen of Swords might know that and say it out loud anyways, because she can be lonely and hurt, and maybe hurting others makes her feel better about herself, right? That's a worst case scenario. I'm not saying necessarily this is true for all of you, but that would be a worst case scenario with the Queen of Swords coming up. That, paired with the Ten of Swords, makes me think of someone who is open to the idea of using her swords to stab someone in the back, right? Why would she do this? Well, I think the Four of Wands gives the answer to that question. And it would be either to create some kind of stability in her own life, like maybe the Queen of Swords can only feel like there's a reason to celebrate something if someone else has lost out, right? And if that is true, then this would be a person to watch out for, because if they can only feel happy when someone else feels sad, then be careful around this person, right? This person would maybe feel entitled to hurt somebody else for their own gain, right? Or even amusement, right? So yeah, I'm gonna answer the question with no. You cannot totally trust this person, and you should be a little bit wary of them. Okay, so let's ask another question. We know this person isn't totally trustworthy. We kind of know why. Trying to decide, should we ask? Let's just get more information. What should we watch out for with this person? What in particular should we be wary of? When should a red flag sort of rise up? When should we know there's a red flag with this person? Page of Chalices. Interesting. So maybe this is saying that your person can be emotionally immature. Intellectually, they're very mature. They're good at making judgments. they're probably pretty good at communicating, right? But emotionally, they might be kind of childish. Pages are like children, naive. Um, so when it comes to emotional matters, when it comes to matters of the heart, when it comes to relationships, they might behave in a totally immature way. High Priestess. You need to be careful of this person when they are not saying something they're thinking. They're keeping it quiet. Probably not always, but the High Priestess is someone with secret knowledge, who has a veil behind them, who knows things that other people don't know, who's maybe made judgments, who's figured something out, and they're keeping quiet about that. Why? Because it benefits them, right? Because saying it out loud isn't going to gain them anything in the moment, so they wait. At some point, they'll probably voice it when it can get them something, right? When they can benefit from it. But if they've figured something out, they will wait for the right time to use that knowledge. And so that would be a red flag. 9 of Wands. If this person is wounded, if they believe that you have wounded them in some way, be careful. So, like, don't get on this person's bad side if there's any way of avoiding it. That's what I would say with this 9 of Wands. Or even if this person is just really exhausted and tired, like if it's at the end of a really long day and they've been taking care of a lot of projects, and like that is not the time to ask them to do a favor for you, for example, right? If they've already got too much on their plate, don't add to it because they will resent you for it, I think. That's how I read this 9 of Wands. So don't add to their workload, their stress. Don't stress them out more if they're already sort of at the limit. If they're at 9 and you're going to put them at 10, they will resent that. If it seems like they're holding something back, if it seems like they know something and they're not voicing it, watch out because they're waiting for the right time to do it. And in general, I would be aware that when it comes to emotions, feelings, relationships, this person can be kind of immature, kind of childish. So let's ask one more question, 3 more cards. We know we can't totally trust this person. We know what will sort of set them off. Childish emotions. Red flag is when they're not saying something. And if they're tired or think they've been wounded. Let's ask now. Because it does seem like this person is someone who would be kind of difficult. Let's ask, what is the benefit to continuing to engage with this person? Assuming that despite what we're seeing here, there is some reason why you want or need to be in a relationship of whatever kind with this person, right? Like maybe they're a family member or a cousin, or you work with them, or they're a really long time friend, or whatever it is. What could be a benefit? Like, is there anything that could come of this? Page of Wands. Exploring. I think of Page of Wands often as an explorer. So something new you wouldn't have experienced otherwise could come out of this. Let's pull the next one and see what it is. 4 of Swords. Rest could come of this. Steadiness of mind is the other thing. that I think of here for steadiness, stability, and swords is the mind. So, maybe by engaging with this person, exploring a relationship with this person, trying to build something new with this person, maybe you strengthen your own mental resolve and it makes you stronger in other areas of your life. Sort of like, yeah, if I can deal with this person, I can deal with anybody, right? Um, and finally, Knight of Swords. So, what could you gain? Um, a relationship with this person might help you to clarify, go on a journey of the mind that helps you figure out what really matters to you, right? Like what you believe in. That's what I think of with swords here. The Knight of Swords has a really firm belief system, but they're not always right. Okay. They're a knight, they're not a king, they're not a queen, right? They're still on their journey, right? And so with the knight, I would say, like, the bit of warning advice with the Knight of Swords would be figure out what you believe in and where you're going, and recognize that if you are going in the wrong direction, it is okay to turn around. Okay? With the Knight of Swords, don't just keep going there, wherever there is, because that's where you're headed. Go there because you are certain, you know, that that is the right place for you to go, whatever that might be, right? And if it turns out that it's not, turn around, right? Knight of Swords can sometimes just, they're so quick, they're so forceful that they just keep going, and sometimes they need to understand that it's okay to stop and make a turn and go a different direction or turn around, right? So I think there is something to be gained potentially from exploring a relationship with this person. And I think it mostly has to do, well, number one, with Page of Wands, exploring like new passions, new desires, new ways of having fun, right? That maybe you haven't experienced before. And also strengthening, steadying your mind, your ability to deal with conflict too. And something to learn here, I think, might be how to engage in a battle of wits, right? With this person, who's maybe a Queen of Coins, and also on the flip side is a Queen of, oh, where'd she go? Queen of Swords, right? The Knight of Swords can match wits, I'd say, or almost match wits with the Knight of Swords, right? Okay, I will leave the reading there. Let me know which of these cards resonated and stood out to you. I'd love to hear it. And please consider liking and subscribing if you'd like to see more of these and help me grow the channel. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and I will see you in your next reading. Hello, Group 3, and welcome to your reading. You chose the Knight of Wands as the significator for your person, and we're going to figure out if you can trust this person or not. I'm just going to prop the card up right here. I paired it with the selenite crystal. I'll set that aside. Let's put it over there. Here is the entire Terra Volatile deck. I shuffled all of the court cards into it. Let's give them a little bit more of a shuffle here while we think about the Knight of Wands and who they might represent and what kind of person they are. This could be anyone in your life, from a family member to someone you're in a relationship with or want to be in a relationship with. It could be a friend, a coworker, any number of things. but someone who should sort of pretty closely fit into the following description of the Knight of Wands. And so this is someone who can be fiery, right? Who maybe has a little bit of a temper, someone who is making progress in their life in some way, like they're following a passion, a career. Um, Even if it's not something they're actually earning money from, it's like they're really into something and it gets them out of bed in the morning. And they're into it, they're passionate about it. It's like an urge or an impulse or a desire. The Knight of Wands can be an impulsive person, someone who might like wake up in the morning and not know what they're going to do that day and just sort of take life as it comes at them, who may not always make super solid plans about what they're going to do. Like if they have the day off, there might be 15 different options and they have no idea which one they're going to do. But I tell you what, they're going to have a good time, whatever it is they end up doing. The Knight of Wands does like to have a good time. They like excitement. They like stimulation, all of that stuff. They're sort of very into. Sort of the shadow side of this person would be someone who follows their own urges or desires to a fault, right? Like they care too much about being excited and satisfying their desire. And not enough about other things in life. And that can be a downfall for this kind of person. I'm not necessarily saying that's true of your person, but that is a possibility with a Knight of Wands person. So, our first question is, can you trust this person? Or to what extent can you trust this person? And if we see lots of swords and wands, we'll lean towards no. And if we see lots of coins and cups, we will lean towards yes. And there are certain cards where if they pop up where we will know what they mean, like the devil, for example, which would mean lies and manipulation. Okay. Two wands. So planning for the future at a crossroads, making a choice, getting ready to do something, but not quite doing it yet. King of Swords. So the King of Swords is someone with the power to cause problems for someone else. They have some authority in some way, or they think they do. They are in charge of something, and they've got a sword which can cause pain or trouble or conflict. So it doesn't mean they will, but it means they have the ability to. And Four Cups, interesting. Emotional stability, focus, meditation, not always taking advantage of something that's right in front of your face. So, is this person trustworthy? I'm inclined to say mostly yes. Right? Like none of these are instantly saying this person has ill will towards you, right? I will say so far it looks like if that changed and they decided they did have ill will towards you, they could do something about that, cause trouble for you. But I wouldn't see or say, based on what we're seeing so far, that that is the current situation, right? So let me just give these a little look, see if I'm missing anything. The Two of Wands, like, this makes me think that they are they're thinking about, they're preparing for it, they have the idea, they know that they could do something, use whatever power or knowledge they have to cause you trouble, but they wouldn't get anything out of it, so they're not doing it, right? Um, let's pull 3 more cards. And let's ask, under what conditions would they cause trouble for you, right? Is there a certain kind of situation, or what kind of situation would need to arise for them to use the power of that sword to do something that would make you think you cannot trust them anymore? Seven Wands. So, if they were to get angry, if they felt like they were struggling, if they felt backed into a corner, if they felt like everyone was against them and they needed to fight back, they would consider doing something untrustworthy in that particular situation. So, as long as they're not angry, as long as they feel safe, as long as things feel secure, as long as they feel like others are on their side, there's nothing to worry about. But if that changes and, like, I don't know, they voice an opinion to the room and everybody else disagrees with them, but they really feel strongly and passionately about it, they might consider doing something dishonest to change the opinion of the room, right? That would be one hypothetical example I could think of where you wouldn't be able to trust this person. So by and large, they seem to be trustworthy, but like there are conditions where that would change. The moon, if they feel confused, if they feel very strong emotions about something that are maybe diluting their vision of the truth or obscuring the way forward, then they might consider doing something untrustworthy, right? Like if they feel like if they are distracted by something. So, like, somebody else could confuse them, distract them, flip things around, obfuscate things in such a way that this person would behave in an untrustworthy way towards you. Right? If there's an outside influence with the moon, I always think of the way the moon pulls the water, the seas to create the tides. And so I think of like being propelled by a hidden force. There's a hidden force and you can't see it, but it's moving you. And so some hidden force could compel this person to not tell the full truth, or maybe even lie, or act in a dishonorable way, do something untrustworthy. The magician. So the magician is powerful and knows how to do tricky things, knows how to, when they need to, manipulate others, knows how to create illusions that are not real, but that look real, seem solid, but it's just smoke and mirrors, right? They can hide stuff under this table of theirs so that not everything is visible, right? They're like, maybe they have something up their sleeve. Why would the magician do that? Well, the magician I always think of as, like, in the old Marseille decks, the magician is a street performer, right? Like, it's their hustle, it's the way they make their living, it's how they survive, right? So, this person that you're thinking of would consider tricking, making illusions, manipulating in some way, not showing all the truth, making things appear better than they really are, prettier than they really are. Um, if they felt like they needed to do that to survive, if they felt like they needed to do that to make their hustle work, like to succeed at their job, right? To keep the money flowing, they would consider if they felt pressured to do it, right? Generally, I think they wouldn't, but in the right circumstances, they are capable of doing that, which again doesn't mean necessarily you shouldn't trust them. Like, mostly, I think this person is trustworthy, like probably most people are, but under the right circumstances, that can fall apart, right? And so to review those circumstances, when they're angry, when they're backed into a corner, when they feel like they're fighting on their own, and if they feel like it's unfair, right? If it's like them against everybody, they will do whatever it takes to try to succeed, right? If they're confused, if they're manipulated by somebody else, if there's a hidden force behind the scenes causing them to think things or do things, they could behave untrustworthily. And finally, if the only way that they feel like they can move forward in life and survive and keep up is with illusions, mostly harmless tricks, then they would be they would be open to doing that. Let's pull 3 more cards and we will ask with these 3. Assuming that no major event happens as described by one of these 3 cards, what could develop from your connection with this person? So, like, I guess what I'm saying is, under mostly favorable circumstances, where this person does not feel angry and backed into a corner, and there isn't someone else manipulating them from the sidelines, right? How could your connection with them develop? 4 swords that came up in an earlier reading today. So 4 swords, I would think, of course, rest. We see the person who's resting here, right? But when do you rest, or why do you rest? Well, of course, when you're tired, yes, but also when you're safe, right? Like, you wouldn't rest unless you were just absolutely exhausted. If you felt like you were in a very conflict-filled situation, or like a dangerous situation. So I think this is saying your mind can be at ease with this person. Queen of Wands. Ooh, Queen of Wands. That's cool to see with the Knight of Wands, and does make me think potentially of a partnership of some kind. Could be a relationship or some other kind of partnership, but like the Knight and the Queen getting together in some way, they would have a very good time. They would have a lot of fun together. The Knight of Wands and the Queen of Wands, they would have a lot of energy. They would seek out exciting experiences. They would seek out different new ways of being stimulated. They would follow their desire. They would do things impulsively. They'd be, ooh, if this couple came to a party, it would be a really fun party. That's what I would see here. So, really good times, I would say. Like, your mind can be at ease and you could have a really good time with this person. 5 swords. So that does make me think from 4 to 5 is an increase, a very slow increase of 1 sword, which could portend a slight increase of conflict. So there may be a little butting of heads between the two of you. Not necessarily anything that would get out of control, because we're just going up by 1. But pursuing or deepening or maturing this relationship with this other person could involve, a little bit of conflict. Let's put it that way. There could be some conflict. Um, I'm just thinking about this 5 of Swords here, because 5 of Swords does mean in a conflict, one person or one party. How can I put this the best way? Hurting someone else, doing something to someone else, defeating might be a way of saying it, like winning an argument, right? And kind of gloating about it, right? So that would maybe be something to watch out for if you deepen your relationship with this person. There might be times with them where it feels a little bit like, yeah, they were right, but they don't have to be a dick about it, right? That kind of thing. And maybe this person sometimes can do that a little bit. And so that would be a place to potentially watch out with them. I want to ask one more question. I still have some curiosity. Let's ask, I'm just formulating it in my head because these 4 swords to 5 swords, I want to know if this gets more intense. So let's ask, what is this person's intentions towards you? Right? Like, what are their intentions towards you? Oh, lovely. 10 cups. Happiness, joy, fulfillment, family, potentially, if it's that kind of relationship. If not an actual family, a metaphorical, like a good friendship that feels like family. Or at work, I hate the idea that we're all like family at work, but that kind of thing. The truth. This is number 8 of the major arcana. It's justice in this particular deck. So their intentions towards you are truthful. Yeah, I don't think you need to worry about this person. Working together, 3 coins, right? So yeah, maybe they can gloat sometimes if they win an argument, but it's not like they're intentionally lying to you. They've got your best interests in mind, and it seems like the two of you would be really compatible in whatever kind of relationship you have with this person. The truth, I love seeing this. Can you trust this person? What are their intentions? Answer, the truth. They plan to be truthful with you, right? Which doesn't mean there won't be 0 conflict. There's always conflict, right? But it's not like they're out to get you or they're planning to lie or deceive. And working together to build something practical, that's all good to see. So that this is a green flag, the truth card, I'd say there. Good. That gives me some relief. I was a little worried there for just a second with that 5 of Swords coming up, but now I feel very reassured. I'm glad we pulled a couple more cards for this reading. So let me know in the comments below what stood out to you. Let me know what resonated. Please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed this reading. And if you'd like to help me grow this channel, I'd very much appreciate it. And I'll leave it there. Have a great day. Be well. And I'll see you in your next reading.